Hey guys, my name is Natalie and I just got back from a 2-month solo backpacking trip throughout Europe and I saw over 15 countries. It was absolutely amazing. So in this video, I wanted to share with you how to travel to Europe on a budget. So I'm gonna break up this video into different categories: flights, food, accommodation, and then activities, okay? So let's jump right into it. So when it comes to flying to Europe and going on your first Europe trip, you'll find that the most expensive item on your budget will probably be the flight tickets to Europe and then flight tickets back. I actually made another video about the best credit cards and debit cards to bring on your international trip. I will throw the link to that video up here. In short, my ticket from Chicago to Berlin was $27, and then my ticket from Sweden to Chicago was like $230 or something. And I bought those like a couple months in advance, so it wasn't too early, but I did score a really good deal. And I know there's like so many different like hacks of like buying super cheap tickets or whatever online. This is what I did and it worked really well. I got the American Airlines Advantage card. So there was a promotion when I got the card and it's still going on, so you can do this right now if you want. But basically all you have to do is pay the annual fee, which is $99, and then you have to spend $1 on anything, okay? After that, I think it was like 6 weeks after I did both of those things, they will put 60,000 miles or points into your account. So those 60,000 points can then be used towards buying your ticket to Europe and your return ticket home. So that's how I did it, and it was super, super cheap. Another way to do this, if you're not a fan of getting a brand new credit card, you go into Google Flights and you find a destination you want to go to, find a date that you want to go as well. Tuesdays and Thursdays I found are like always the cheapest. And what you do is add your dates and the time that you want, and you can add a travel alert to your email. So basically, like whenever the flights drop to a certain level, you'll get an email like, hey, the flights are now like this price or whatever. And then you can be like, this is great, like I want to go and buy them right now. That's another way to do it. It's kind of like, you know, buying stocks. It's like, all right, do you buy it on the dip or do you buy it like at the high point? But what if you just bought it when you get the notification that says it's at its cheapest point, and that's it? There's also a graph that you can watch where Google will tell you the average price of that trip that you're looking to take. So if you are in the red and it's like the average price is $200 and right now all the tickets are like $500, just wait until the tickets drop to $200. It's that easy. I would recommend just getting the credit card because $27 or $26 for a ticket to Berlin from Chicago is insane in my opinion. So the next category we're gonna talk about is food. Okay, so I am a huge foodie, and if you're a foodie like me and you wanna really enhance your trip experience by trying all the cultural foods across Europe, Italy, France, Portugal, like there's a lot of good food to try, okay? What I did in the beginning was go to a ton of restaurants for like every meal, and I realized I was like, oh my God, like this is kind of getting expensive. Like I gotta slow down a little bit. What I actually did was go to the grocery store. It's like, wow, what a crazy idea, what a crazy concept, right? And a lot of the Italian grocery stores, they have super, super fresh to-go meals, and you can grab those and then eat them wherever you want. So it's like you're at a fun restaurant, but you're stationary and you don't get the best view. Or you can go to a grocery store, get a packaged meal that's super, super fresh still. Go sit on a mountain, go watch the sunset on the beach, go people watch in the middle of the street. Like, I don't care what you do, but it's like, it just seems like a more of a win-win solution with the grocery store. Plus, it's way, way, way cheaper. One other thing I'll note is if you have an Airbnb with a kitchen, utilize it, because that's not what I did when I was traveling for the first month or so. And I am just kicking myself now, but Italian grocery stores and pretty much all the grocery stores in Europe, like even Switzerland, like they do not mess around when it comes to the grocery store. Buy your food and then cook stuff at your Airbnb or your apartment. You can eat that food at your apartment, or just buy Tupperware or like plastic bags or something. You can just pack your food to go. So that's another like really easy way to just save money on food and still get the full experience. A lot of the bakeries you can go to have like cheap food items, like cheap bread and stuff like that. So you can always make a sandwich at home or like pizza or like whatever you want. And it's easier to stay healthy that way because you're managing exactly what you're eating. One other thing to note, kind of going off of that point, when you are traveling throughout Europe, the food will be cheap when you go to cafes, when you go to like smaller little shops. If you order espresso or pizza or croissants, all of these things are going to be less than like €2 if you're going to the right places. If you go to like touristy places, they're obviously going to be inflated, but that's why you have to keep your eyes open and turn your brain on. And you'll find these really cheap options that are absolutely delicious. You really won't break the bank if you want to eat pizza for like breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 2 months, but also, you might gain some weight. So if you're okay with that, go for it. And then my next tip is don't eat out at the touristy places. So when you do treat yourself out to like a fun restaurant, dinner or lunch or breakfast or whatever, don't go to all the touristy places, because that's what I did in Rome. And I think I dropped like $25 on like a total mediocre pizza, and I was kind of disappointed. Actually, I was very disappointed. Experience was just fine, and it was too expensive. So if you want to go to a fun restaurant and you're trying to save money, just do your research in advance, know what the menu is, know what you're going to order, and then when you arrive at this place that's not touristy, it's going to be an experience of a lifetime because you did your research, you know what it's going to cost, and the food will probably be stellar. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so if you do decide to go to restaurants, what you can do if it's like breakfast or lunch or something, you can probably get away with this, is just order sides. So typically sides are going to be cheaper than the main entrees, but sometimes the sides are so big in size that it could almost be an entree. That's what I did a couple of times. It wasn't really my vibe. I would actually just rather get an entree in my opinion, but it's just an option if you want to save money. Or again, just go to cafes, order yourself an espresso and a croissant and feel like you had the full-blown like restaurant experience, but you only dropped like €4. All right, then the next category we're going to talk about is the accommodations. So when you are traveling on a budget, you're probably not going to stay at these 5-star hotels, and you'll notice that it can get kind of expensive. What your options are when traveling to Europe on a budget. The first one would be a hostel. I did try this when I went to Vienna, and I personally didn't love it. It wasn't really for me. The bunk beds weren't really my vibe, and I wanted to do it to meet new people and like make friends, but I just felt really gross the whole time. And when I was sleeping, I was like, I just want to get out of here. Like it felt really gross. And then you're sharing a shower with like other people, and the people in my dorm weren't super friendly. So I didn't make any friends. It just felt like a waste, and I didn't like my Vienna experience because of it. I would recommend not doing hostels if you don't like that, and instead do Airbnbs, which we'll talk about in a second. But if you don't mind dropping like $50 a night and not having like the most comfortable bed, then hostels are a great option for you. I would just recommend reading all the reviews, and then also going on like Instagram or TikTok and see if people have made reviews on those hostels, so you can verify they're like legit and they're a nice place to stay at, okay? Your second option would be staying at an Airbnb, which is what I did. When you're staying in an Airbnb, you can have the whole place to yourself, or you can have a room to yourself. And sometimes the rooms, like you just have a room within a house, sometimes that is cheaper than a hostel, or it's like the same price. So in my opinion, like when I'm doing the math, it's like, well, I would rather stay at an Airbnb, have my own personal space, and then not feel like I want to vomit in the middle of the night because like it's just so gross and there's weird bugs, okay? And then your final option for accommodation is World Packers. And I've never done this myself, so it's just the research that I have done. But basically, you can go on this website and find accommodations for free, or you can even get paid to travel, which is really interesting. It's an opportunity for people like around the world to share their home, and you basically get to experience their home. And then you might have some like labor that you have to do, like cleaning around the house or working in the garden or like whatever it is. So that is another option. That's like $0, or you also get paid. So like that's, if you're really on a budget, that could be for you. And then the final category I want to talk about is the activities that you will do while you're on the trip. So obviously you could do everything for free. Like you could just walk around an entire city and spend $0. And that's a great option if you're on a budget and again, you don't want to spend a lot of money. For me, I'm a foodie. So like my main activity that I wanted to do was walk around and just eat as much food as possible. I didn't spend a ton of money on activity. What I did was go on Airbnb experiences, and there was a lot of cool, unique things. I went surfing in Portugal. I went paddleboarding in Spain. I went on like a boat tour in Italy along the Cinque Terre. Like all these things were really cool experiences, and they weren't super expensive besides the boat one. I think the boat one was like $300 or $400. It was kind of expensive. The paddleboarding thing was like $20. The surfing thing was like $90 or something like that, which is crazy because you have a full day of learning. You have like a personal teacher showing you how to surf, showing you how to paddleboard, and they give you all the gear. It's like you basically have a full day planned out, okay? So I like that because it's a fun way to like add some fun to your trip and like pepper in an exciting adventure, but it's not super expensive too. Now, if you do that in the US, it's like completely different. I think it's more expensive in the US. Another thing that you could do is I talked about this in another video, but you can do walking tours. So there's a lot of free walking tours, and there's a website you can just like search the city and then find a tour that works for you, and you know, based on your language that you speak. So there's like English tours, there's Spanish tours, and then like, you know, etc. It's super easy to book, and then it's a great way to like meet other solo travelers or people that are backpacking, you know, with their couple or friends or whatever, and then you can make friends that way too, and also learn about the place that you're exploring or living in, you know, for a short amount of time. And then finally, just walking around and looking at all of the famous sites or like tourist spots or historical buildings is a great way to spend your time, which is also free. I know when I landed in a new city, I just wanted to see all like the main like famous landmarks first, and sometimes that would take like a full day. So like especially in Rome. So to organize your journey and organize like the landmarks that you want to see, what you can do in Google Maps is create a folder for each of the cities you're going to, and then all you do is like type in a landmark. So like if you're in Milan and you want to see like the beautiful church that's there, you would type in the church and then you press save, and you would save it down to Milan. So when you land in Milan, you can open up the folder that says Milan in your Google Maps, and then it will show you all the places that you have saved. And then you won't waste time being like, where do I go? What should I do? It's all right there. You can also add a note in there too. So if you want to add like, oh, to go inside of the church, it's $29. That was so helpful and kept me very, very organized as well, like when I was traveling. So anyway, those are a couple of ways to save some money and travel to Europe on a budget. If you want to see more budget traveling videos, let me know. I have a lot more tips, but I just wanted to share like some of my favorite ones, and this will definitely save you like a couple $100 or $1,000 depending on, you know, how you travel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you want to see more travel videos, let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.